Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea and this is Butterfly Set Free. Today I wanted to talk about boundaries. I know that's probably a topic you've heard many a time, but I just wanted to talk about it with my recent experience and journey with it because it has been a journey because I am a recovering people pleaser. I used to always try to appease to what other people's needs and wants were above my own. I always would put other people's needs, like I said, and wants above myself. I always would try to accommodate as best I could, and I would say yes to things even though I meant no. And I remember always afterwards just, not feeling great. And over time, I've just learned, like, I can't keep up with this. Like, otherwise, my own nervous system is going to suffer. And I think over time, like, you can even probably, I'm sure, developed, because your body, like Gabriel Monte says, the body keeps the score. So the more times you constantly go against your authenticity, what you truly want and desire, and maybe you don't know, because I've realized even through relationships, I would almost attach my identity to other people because I was with a lot of controlling partners who were very controlling with like everything, like how I dressed, who I hung out with. Like we always, would basically hang out with their friends and do what they wanted to do, listen to their music, never could listen to my music, or that's just one example. And I realized slowly over time it eroded who I was and my identity. And I realized I had to, after, leaving those relationships, I had to really learn, like, what do I want? What is that something that I want to do? Like, and so I've had to learn through time, trial and error. When people ask me if I want to go do something, or I've had to like take a second and not always, because sometimes it's the impulse to just say yes right away because you want to appease that person, but it's certainly perfectly fine to just take a moment and just say, hey, can I think about it? I'll get back to you by the end of the day, or can I sleep on it? I'll get back to you tomorrow. Don't leave them hanging or whatever, but you're allowed to give yourself, you don't have to, because I notice like the urge is to impulse, like respond right away, but sometimes you don't always make the best judgment in those responses because you're just kind of leaning more towards trying to make them happy. And maybe it is something it's a full body yes. And then obviously you'll know. But if it isn't, if your intuition is saying, is this something I really want to do? It is so okay to just let yourself think about it. And I've noticed when I let myself think about something, even for like however much time, then I'm truly saying yes because I want to. It's not because I'm saying yes because, they want me to. And that is something I've had to learn, like I said, through time, just because I'm a recovering people pleaser and would always want to just make other people happy. And also, like I said, through just being with controlling partners, and also just trying to always be like the good girl, I just always lost my identity in other people who kind of took the reins of like deciding, like even in our friend group, like long time ago, of like what we would do and decide. And so I would just always go along with other people's decisions. And that's fine. Sometimes you can, go ahead and do that. Sorry if you're hearing that sound, it's my cat. But yeah, I've just realized like you are allowed to like really decide in your body, like, hey, is this something I want to do or not? The other thing I want to say, as I've grown older, Some of my relationship dynamics have also changed because of boundaries and because of recovering from my people-pleasing tendencies. I've realized, I can always tell when I have grown, and I'm better at setting those boundaries when I no longer resort to like that people-pleasing tendency that I once did or once used to do, that old version of myself. So for example, there was this friendship dynamic that did end up sadly ending, and it was due to setting, in my eyes, a gentle boundary. It wasn't like anything drastic or harsh or anything, but this individual couldn't handle it and they decided to end the dynamic because of that boundary. And that is one thing I've always now seen. I mean, when I look back on that dynamic, I've realized like how many red flags there were, and it definitely was such an energy drain, and I never felt like I could be myself around this person. But in the moment, like I just couldn't see. And sometimes when you're around these people and you also have people-pleasing tendencies, you'll kind of morph into a version of yourself that you don't really like. And I realized that's what was happening. Like my vibration was literally lowering just to relate to this person. I was having to, just like absorb this person's constant drama and just low vibration energy. And I was kind of like, and I think this person felt better when they would hang out with me because I was, like subconsciously basically healing whatever like trauma and triggers and things that she was working through. And I would constantly have to like validate this person and lift them up. But I was always feeling worse and like more drained and tired, and even low-level depression constantly with this individual because they had like jealousy tendencies and things I just didn't pick up on early on. So it never occurred to me like, oh, maybe this person's jealous or insecure or whatever, but they would project it onto other people. So they never sought that or had that self-awareness. And I'm not blaming this person at all. Like everyone has their own journey in healing. Like it takes time, obviously. But I've just realized when I've set those boundaries of, saying, hey, like I like, even if you just set a boundary of like, hey, I think I need a little space right now, or hey, I just need a little break. Because sometimes, especially if someone's emotional IQ just, isn't fully developed, when they're in an angry or upset state, you can say the calmest things, you can be the most rational person, but they will always take it the wrong way. They will always twist it and like, fire it back at you and make you out to be the bad person, when you're literally trying to help them or like, calm the situation down. But like, if they're in that state, you have to realize like, okay, this is not about me. This is about them. They need to look internally and help heal whatever is going on within themselves. This is not something I can help fix. And I think it's hard when you, at least for me, because I am also a fixer type person. I always want to help other people, but you can't always be someone else's savior. Sometimes they are the only ones that can save themselves. I've had to learn that the hard way. But it's so true, because you're just going to save yourself so much headache and turmoil by not always jumping to save the other person. And I know it's so hard because you love this person and you want to, jump to save them and help them. But some of these battles that these people, and same, I've had to go through these battles as well. The only way through is internally, and they have to go through that journey on their own. They can't it can't be basically remedied any other way. Like, for example, if you were to somehow like rescue them from whatever trauma they're trying to work through, some things they really are really an internal kind of journey, basically. So yes, like I said, this individual was very jealous of me, and they would always they had just this weird, I don't know, idea of like who I was supposed to hang out with and when. And so if I would hang out with other people without this person, they just were not okay with that. And to me, that feels very controlling. I don't know if they saw it that way, but I feel like anyone, especially as an adult, you should be able to hang out with and spend time with who you choose. And someone else shouldn't dictate and decide who and when you can hang out with certain people. Like, we're all adults here. Like, I feel like everyone can choose to, they should be able to choose who and when they spend time with, because everyone is unique. And some people, like I said, some people's energy dynamics you just feel better around, or maybe certain people you enjoy certain experiences with and reserve other experiences with other people, and that is totally fine. Anyway, so that boundary that I set, this person could not handle it, and they ended up ending the relationship after that. And I wasn't even proposing ending the relationship. I just, like I said, I set that boundary, and then I just said, hey, maybe we should take a breather, take some space. I think I didn't say this, but I was feeling like things were, escalating in an unproductive way. And when I can sense that, I just realized like nothing I can say is gonna help. And so that's what cues me of like, okay, maybe we just need to take a pause, like, which is totally fine. Like, I'm welcoming taking a break from any kind of, if some conversation is getting heated and unproductive, then of course it's perfectly natural and normal to take a breather. But then it's definitely a cue if that person can't even handle a breather or a space when one is needed, then it's probably a sign that this relationship dynamic was never meant to sustain the long term. And that is a heartbreaking thing to sit with. And I will say, when a friendship dynamic does end, it does feel like a heartbreak. I've never actually had a friendship dynamic end ever. This was the first one, and it was painful. But I've also realized I'm changing internally, and I'm trying to attract people who I feel vibrationally good around, that when I hang out with this whatever person I'm with, or group of people, that I feel better after hanging out with them, not more drained or just exhausted or even depressed. So I've just learned from this dynamic, and this ties into boundaries, obviously, but really pay attention to your energy, who you spend with, how your body feels, because your body does not lie. Even like if you don't have words to how you're feeling, just feeling into your body, like, does your body feel good after hanging out with this person, or does it feel not good, or does it feel exhausted, or like depleted, or depressed, or agitated, or anything, like, or does it feel like energized and like excited about life or inspired? I've noticed that even not even just friendship dynamics, but even like things that I watch, like, because our minds are like sponges. So anything we read or watch or music we listen to really cue into like whatever you're, putting into your mind and your brain. like pay attention to how it makes your body feel, because especially if you're a sensitive person like myself, I have noticed, yeah, there's certain things I don't even want to watch because I just know it just looks and I can tell is really low vibration and will not make me feel good after watching it. Some things like I feel amazing after, or like listening to, especially if it's like music. Some music just doesn't, resonate with me. Some is like absolutely amazing. And so just everyone is different. Some people, everyone has different things that energize them and make them feel amazing, and other things, obviously don't. And one thing I will say to that is, obviously that can grow and change as you get older. So some things you maybe have like really resonated with or loved at a certain point, maybe you don't as you get older, and that is totally fine. I've noticed that about even myself as I've gotten older, things that, I've just changed as a person. So, and that is completely normal and natural. And I also feel like specifically friendship dynamics and people in your life, the ones that will sustain the longest, the long haul, like for your entirety of this time on earth, are the people that will grow and change with you, or that it will at least adapt as you grow and change, and won't expect you to stay this like small version of yourself, or try to dim your light to make themselves feel better about, the place that they're staying at, because they just can't move past their own limitations. People that are in your life should always be, supporting you and encouraging you, and wanting you to be the best version of yourself, and wanting you to be the brightest version of yourself, not wanting you to dim yourself so that they feel better about themselves. That is not a good sign. So those are just things that I've just realized, like as I've grown and gotten older, I've just paid more attention to my energy and how my energy feels around other people. And I've also noticed, and you will notice this too when you set more boundaries, is you'll just start to notice how much better you feel in your everyday. If you're constantly feeling exhausted, if you're constantly feeling drained or even depressed, maybe that's a sign of boundaries that you need to set in your life. Or maybe it's a sign of a shifting of an environment that you're constantly exposing yourself to, that's draining your energy and dimming your light. So yeah, that's just what I've noticed, like I said, as I've grown. And boundaries, they still are hard, especially if you're a recovering people pleaser, but they do get easier and you do get stronger. I will say that. And each time you do it, you will feel so proud of yourself, especially if you are a recovering people pleaser. You'll feel that little girl in your or little boy, or whoever, that child in yourself who used to just put up with whatever, bend over backwards, be a doormat. You'll be standing up for that version of yourself, and you'll feel so proud because you'll know that you don't put up with that anymore. So I just hope that gives you a little encouragement. It's a topic I do want to keep talking about because, like I said, I've just noticed how much I've grown. I've become such a more stronger person, and I'm way more cognizant of my energy. I'm very aware how sensitive I am, and I know it's not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing to be sensitive, but with sensitivity, you do have to be aware of energy dynamics and who lifts you up and who drains you. And I'm not saying you have to cut everyone out of your life who is a lower vibrational match than you. No, you just relate to them on a different level, like more surface level, more, you're not hanging out with them all the time, especially if they're depleting you. You can still hang out with them, but just on a different level. And that's what I've learned too. And that is totally fine. But hopefully that helps. Like I said, it's a topic I will keep talking about, but that's just what I've learned so far. I have more to, like I say, to say about it, but I'll leave it for another video. I do hope you guys have a wonderful day. Don't feel bad to set those boundaries. Keep protecting your light and your energy. It is so valuable. Your energy is the most valuable thing that you have. So protect it, because you will feel so much better. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.